Welcome to Sophie Daddy's channel. So, if you're an option seller, you know the struggle, right? Do you chase those massive, juicy premiums on stocks that are, let's be honest, kind of sketchy? Or do you play it safe with blue chips and get paid pennies? It feels like you can't win. But what if that's a false choice? I mean, this is the classic trade-off. You've got high IV stocks that promise incredible returns, but they're usually speculative gambles you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. On the other hand, you have fantastic high-quality companies, but the premium on their options is, well, it's barely worth the commission. The goal here isn't to pick a side. It's to figure out how to get the best of both worlds. And right here, this is the secret. This is the whole game. We're not looking for companies that are always volatile. We are hunting for anomalies. The absolute sweet spot is finding a great, fundamentally solid company that the market is, for some reason, temporarily freaking out about. That panic creates a spike in implied volatility, and that's our window. We get to sell fat premiums on a stock we'd be thrilled to own anyway. That's the target. This brings us to what we can call the dual mandate. It's simple, really. On one hand, you have fundamental quality. That means we only even consider stocks we're genuinely willing to own for the long term. On the other hand, we need a favorable options market. That means high liquidity and, of course, high IV. And as you know, these two things are almost always at odds. Our entire framework is designed to find those rare moments when they align. So, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the premium seller's dilemma, break down the 3 foundational pillars of this strategy, look at the hard data that proves it works, then build a step-by-step screening funnel you can use, and finally, we'll cover the critical mistakes to avoid. All right, let's get into the heart of it all. Think of these 3 pillars, quality, liquidity, and volatility, as the legs of a stool. If one is missing, the whole thing just collapses. Every single stock you consider has to pass all 3 of these tests, no exceptions. Pillar number 1 is quality, which I like to call the willing to own doctrine. And honestly, this is the most critical mindset shift you can make. Selling a cash secured put isn't just an options trade. You need to think of it as placing a limit order to buy a fantastic stock at a discount, and you're literally getting paid while you wait. If you get assigned, that's not a failure. It's just outcome number 2, and it's a perfectly acceptable one. So what do we actually mean by quality? Well, it's not a gut feeling. It's a checklist of hard numbers. We're looking for big companies, profitable companies, and companies that are efficient with their money. A dividend is a great sign of stability, and it's essential if you're planning to wheel the stock. And maybe most importantly, we need a stock that's in a long-term uptrend. We are absolutely not trying to catch falling knives here. Okay, pillar number 2, liquidity. Think of liquidity as your fire escape. When a trade starts to go wrong, and some will, your only option is to get out. If the options market for that stock is illiquid, well, you're trapped in a burning building. The ability to close a position quickly and at a fair price is your most important risk control tool. And just like quality, we can measure liquidity. You want to see high open interest and high daily volume, for sure. But the king of all liquidity metrics, the one you absolutely cannot ignore, is the bid-ask spread. This spread is the fee the market charges you to get in and out. If it's more than 10 cents on an option, you're giving away too much edge before you even start. Just walk away. So if quality and liquidity are your defense, pillar 3, volatility, is your offense. This is where the profit comes from. We are in the business of selling insurance against price swings. The higher the implied volatility, the more fear there is in the market, and the higher the premium we can charge for that insurance. And we get paid in 2 main ways. The first is time decay, or theta. It's like an ice cube melting on a summer day. Every day that passes, the option loses some of its value, and that value drips right into our account. But the second way, the real home run, is the vol crush. We sell when IV is high, when fear is rampant. Then, as things calm down and IV reverts to normal, the air just gets sucked out of that premium, and we can often close the trade for a quick profit. But high IV is a relative term, right? That's why we always use IV rank, not IV percentile. IV percentile just tells you if IV is higher than its average. IV rank, on the other hand, tells you where the current IV is relative to its high and low over the past year. Since our whole game is selling extremes that are likely to snap back to normal, IV rank is a far superior tool for timing our entries. And this gives us a really clean, simple rule to live by. As a general rule of thumb, we want to be sellers of premium only when the IV rank is above 50. This is our signal that the insurance we're selling is expensive relative to its own history, and it's statistically likely to get cheaper. Okay, so the theory is sound. The 3 pillars make logical sense. But does it actually hold up in the real world? Let's switch gears and look at the hard data, because this isn't just a good idea. It's a quantifiable market edge that has existed for decades. The entire reason this works comes down to a concept called the volatility risk premium, or VRP, and it's just a fancy term for a simple human truth. People tend to worry more than they need to. Implied volatility is what the market thinks will happen, and realized volatility is what actually happens. And almost without fail, the market overestimates the drama. Option buyers consistently overpay for protection, and we're just there to collect that overpayment. And we can actually put a number on this edge. A huge academic study looked at decades of data and found that, on average, implied volatility was 4.2 percentage points higher than the volatility that followed. You can think of that 4.2% gap as the historical, built-in profit margin for being the house in this casino. So what does this look like in a real portfolio? Well, let's look at the CBOE's Put Right Index, which just systematically sells puts on the S&P 500. Now, the first thing you'll see is that the raw return is lower than just buying and holding the index, no doubt. But if that's all you look at, you are missing the entire point. Look at the risk columns. And this chart says it all. This shows the maximum drawdown, how much your account would have gotten crushed during the absolute worst market meltdowns. The put selling strategy lost significantly less. You are explicitly trading some of the bull market upside for a massive amount of protection against those portfolio-killing crashes. So let's be crystal clear. This is not a get-rich-quick strategy. It's a strategy designed for smoother returns, consistent income, and, most importantly, capital preservation. We're not trying to beat the market in a bull run. We're trying to achieve superior risk-adjusted returns over the long haul. All right, enough theory. Let's get practical. We know the why. We've seen the data. Now let's talk about the how. We're going to build a step-by-step screening process to actually find these ideal trade setups, from theory to action. Now, this next part is maybe the most important thing to get right. It's the order of operations. Amateurs make a catastrophic error. They start by screening for high IV. And what do they find? A list of junk, meme stocks, failing biotechs, the works. The professional approach is the exact opposite. First, you screen for quality and liquidity to build your safe universe of stocks you'd love to own. Only then do you look within that safe list to find an opportunity with high IV. So, we can think of this as a 3-layer funnel. Layer 1 is the safe universe filter. We throw the entire market in, and only high-quality, liquid stocks make it through. Layer 2 is the opportunity filter. We scan that shortlist for anything with an IV rank over 50. And Layer 3 is our final entry filter, where we glance at a chart to fine-tune our timing. And here's what that looks like as a concrete screener. In Layer 1, we set our quality standards: large cap, high ROE, liquid options. Easy. In Layer 2, it's just one filter, IVR greater than 50. And for Layer 3, we add a simple trend filter, like making sure the price is above its 200-day moving average. We don't want to sell puts on a stock that's in a death spiral. But please, I cannot stress this enough. A screener only gives you candidates. It does not give you trades. You absolutely must perform a final manual review. Pull up the chart. Is the stock near a major support level? Are there earnings coming up next week? And most importantly, do a quick sanity check. Is the high IV because of some market overreaction, or is it because the company is actually in serious trouble? Now, we've spent a lot of time talking about how to do this right. Let's talk about how it can go horribly wrong. Understanding these common traps is just as important as knowing the strategy in the first place. First, let's be clear on what the real risk is. For a put seller, the risk isn't getting assigned the stock. We plan for that. The real risk is that the stock you're forced to buy keeps on falling. For a call seller, the risk isn't selling your shares. It's the massive opportunity cost you suffer when that stock doubles after you were forced to sell it. The first and most deadly failure is the high IV low quality trap. This is what happens when you ignore Pillar 1. You get lured in by some insane premium on a speculative stock, you sell the put, the stock collapses, and you're left holding a bag of worthless shares. This one mistake can wipe out a year's worth of gains. Catastrophic failure number 2 is the illiquidity trap, a violation of Pillar 2. This is when a trade goes against you, but when you go to close it, the bid-ask spread is a mile wide. It's like an enormous exit fee. You're completely trapped, forced to either accept a huge loss to get out or just ride it all the way down. And finally, there's the strategy outlook mismatch. This is simply using the wrong tool for the job. For example, if you are incredibly bullish on a stock and you think it's going to the moon, selling a covered call is a terrible idea. You are intentionally capping your own upside for a tiny little premium. You have to match your strategy to your actual outlook on the stock. So let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway here? It's that this isn't about finding a magic bullet or a holy grail. It's about building a system to methodically and patiently harvest a proven, persistent edge that exists in the market. The entire framework really boils down to these 4 rules. 1. Quality first, last, and always. 2. Be a seller of extremes. Use that IVR over 50 as your guide. 3. Match your strategy to your goal. Don't sell calls on a stock you want to own forever. And 4. Embrace the system. Treat this like a business with rules and processes, not a trip to the casino. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Success in this game is not about chasing the highest possible premium. It's about finding the best available premium on a fantastic, liquid company that you would be happy to have in your portfolio. Your single most important decision is always the underlying ticker. So I'll just leave you with this final question to think about. Are you a premium hunter, chasing yield wherever it pops up regardless of the quality? Or are you a systematic risk professional, patiently harvesting fear from the world's best companies? Because that choice will define your entire trading career.